We should be about live, I think.
Yep, I see it.
That's good. I already see the first comments. Now that we're not gonna hate on Chris Thorndike too much, probably, but him crying a lot is a big theme of these episodes, so I couldn't
Yeah.
help but add it in. I'm kind of surprised. This is the first episode in terms of how Chris behaves, how I always thought every episode would be like. But I guess we'll discuss that later. Kind of jumping ahead of time.
Yeah.
Guess we'll just start a little slower. Hi everyone, welcome to the stream, our bi-weekly stream, which is, we finally have an official name. We're gonna call it Dissected Alive. That's the proper name, and I'll use the comedy name, the title as the thumbnail. Kind of threw that in as a joke, but of course it won. I underestimated internet logic again. Luke won't be Luke won't be with us this week because he's at some organization, some kind of festival in South End by Sea, doing lots of light stuff. Luminous City they call it. And boy, it does look like an incredible Sonic level. So almost gives me inspiration to draw a level. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So you guys want to introduce yourselves, Meltaman?
Hey, Melting Man here. Just been keeping myself busy recently with the new Forgotten Media episode in the works, and recently finished watching that new Cuphead show on Netflix.
Oh, it's already out? Cool.
Yeah, it came out yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it when I went to watch the Sonic X episodes we are discussing today.
As a break. Fair enough. Okay, and of course our other guest is Captain Theory.
Greetings, friends.
Greetings indeed. But yeah, so we're gonna have to do without Luke. I'm sure he'll upload a separate video again, giving his thoughts, like he did last time. Because hey, it's an important video because it's the big first season finisher for Sonic X. I was kind of surprised how legitimately it feels like a series finale. I didn't expect that, since we know it's still gonna continue past this point.
Mm-hmm.
But they work hard to make it feel like it's the final episode, despite the bit of a vague ending. Anything else we want to discuss?
Depends on which version, but I'm getting ahead of myself there.
What did you say, Melting Man?
I said, yeah, the ending being vague, but then again, it depends on which version you see, but I'm getting ahead of myself there.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm gonna go into it, or is some other stuff we want to discuss? Rescue Rangers movie or
Briefly,
yeah.
did we want to briefly talk about the Nintendo Direct that came out?
Sure. Oh, yes, yeah.
So, as a lot of people have pointed out, it's exciting to see a new Mario Strikers game.
Yeah.
I personally have been looking forward to that for quite a while. I actually have a reaction video on my channel if you want to go see me freak out over soccer for the first time in my life.
Yeah, or football for Americans. Yeah. UK people. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Now, American football Mario game would be pretty cool.
And I've never played any of the Mario Strikers games. I've seen them; they look cool. So yeah, it's nice that the Mario Strikers fans are finally getting some love now.
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend Mario Strikers Charged. It's amazing.
The artwork, I love it. Really almost Sonic-y, like Sonic Battle, Sonic Riders did when having a weird art.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, it does kind of have a similar style going for it. And like I've thought ever since I played Strikers Charged that Sonic would actually be a good guest character for the game.
Absolutely.
He just kind of fits very well into this really shockingly violent version of soccer.
Yeah. Man, I wish more 3D games had like a rough sketch like art style like this. Like usually 3D art looks a little too clean for my taste.
It's kind of funny because like the first two games, like the games don't look like the sketches of the art style. But this time they're actually able to incorporate it into the gameplay. So, I guess the technology finally caught up with their style.
I thought it could do that before. I mean, didn't Borderlands also have a very sketchy art style to it? Oh well. But yeah, of course, Nintendo wants to do it a little more perfect. They're perfectionists, which in this case, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a nice Nintendo Direct. Nothing I personally immediately want to play, except maybe the Kirby game that looked pretty awesome. But,
Yeah, the Kirby game looks interesting. Yeah, first time Kirby gets to have a full-fledged 3D game that isn't kart racing.
or that weird 3DS Nintendo game. Like there was like a very cheap like DS shop game or something. It wasn't 3D. But whatever. Now we're being really obscure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the yeah Direct was full of surprises. The one game I'm definitely looking forward to is the Klonoa Remastered Collection, where they given the first two Klonoa games the full remaster treatment. So hopefully this actually does well, because it is kind of well known that Namco just flat out sucks at marketing and advertising Klonoa in the past.
Are they gonna remake the first game completely from scratch? Because I thought the first game already had a remake for the Wii. So that's gonna be the
Yeah,
first time
there
a game
was.
has two remakes on top of each other.
Yeah, it's pretty much like what happened with Medieval. Like, first there was the original PS1 game, then the PSP reimagining, and then the remaster that's more faithful to the original. But I've heard this remaster for the first Klonoa game is using the Wii version as like a basis, so that's kind of what they're going off of. And then, obviously, like the character design there, going back to how it looked like in the original PS1 and not the Wii version, which was just older Klonoa with a different outfit. And at least it wasn't the proposed redesign of Klonoa, because, yeah, the internet did not react kindly to that.
We don't like changes.
But yeah, I'm glad to see Klonoa finally get some love. Now, if only some of his games would get released outside of Japan for once.
This one apparently does. I only played the Game Boy Advance games. I wasn't a big fan of it because it was, very puzzly. It's not really my cup of tea. Sorry,
Yeah,
Klonoa fans.
yeah, the Klonoa games are mostly those 2.5D games, which I know you're not that big a fan of.
No, not the Game Boy Advance games. Those were perfect, complete in 2D. But
Oh, there, yeah. I never played the Game Boy Advance games, but now, since it's on the Wii U eShop, I probably better get them quickly before they disappear.
yep, definitely. Are they? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was digging through, like, trying to make a list of, like, okay, these are the games I want to download from the Wii U's eShop before it's gone. It's like, oh, the Klonoa game's there. Nice. That'll be much cheaper than trying to hunt down physical copies.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anything else you wanted to bring up from the Nintendo Direct, or only Strikers, Captain?
Well, there is the Disney racing game that looks really interesting. It is free to play, so that's kind of concerning. But sometimes free to play games can be even better than paid games. So that might actually work to its advantage, or it might not. We'll have to find out.
At least
Oh,
it'll
yeah,
have a lot of updates, unlike Team Sonic Racing. I'm willing to bet every single new Disney project coming out will gonna have some like racer or racetrack representative of it. Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get a Rescue Rangers racetrack then.
Ah, yeah, the new Disney racing game. For some reason, it gives me flashbacks to that canceled Epic Mickey Racing spin-off game that never came out.
Makes sense. I was kind of expecting Sora to show up, but he never did.
Well, they got to get through Square Enix first before they do that, because, yeah, there was a bit of copyright issues with that. Because I remember there was one time, there was like a Sora costume that actually did show up in the official Disney parks, but that was like years ago. He never showed up again.
What a shame. Yep. All right. So yeah, a lot of games. My wife is kind of laughing at how many remakes there were. There were so many like Advanced Wars had a remake, and Klonoa, and like there were a lot of remakes. Almost like 75% of all the games shown was like a remaster of an old game. Not that I mind you, but it was kind of funny. Easy
Yeah.
money, I suppose.
Well, at least that'll hold us over for a while until we get some info on like other stuff, like, oh, like when are we gonna hear news on Metroid Prime 4 or whatnot?
And
Yeah.
Zelda Breath
Oh,
of
I,
the Wild.
I guess I forgot Splatoon 3. I'm happy to see Salmon run back.
Yeah, new Splatoon. I still haven't played the first one. I had tried it a bit at a friend's home, but Been too lazy to really get one myself. I played them.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten around to playing Splatoon either.
How dare
They're
you,
fun
son.
games.
I remember I had this, well, I didn't make it, but I had this bland comic idea coming out like, oh, I finally get to play Splatoon, so, like, there's my Inkling running around, but, like, the whole place is empty because the servers are dead. So, I don't know, with the eShop going dead, maybe that's gonna happen when I actually get around to playing the first game.
Oof.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a single player campaign in both games, so
Yeah, I've heard of that. I
Almost
just know
feels
it's
like
one
a
of those games
platformer.
that's...
Even. No.
Yeah, it's just one of those games that's more into like multiplayer. That's kind of the main thing people are hooked on. So I
yeah.
remember I kind of talked like, oh yeah, Splatoon. I kind of joked like, oh yeah, that's Nintendo's idea of making Team Fortress 2, or their idea of doing a Team Fortress 2 game.
That's not a bad description.
A little bit of Jet Set Radio in there as well.
But yeah,
still...
Salmon Run is great because it's not PvP, it's PvE, and I freaking love PvE and multiplayer game.
Oh yeah.
That's good. All right, guess we shall start it with Sonic X then.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, or unless there's something else you want to talk. Well,
I thought we were going to start with the other thing.
Oh, the
yeah,
manga.
the Sonic movies.
The Sonic movie stuff.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
saw you had the picture up there, but I don't know if there was anything else left.
Okay, we can talk a little bit about Sonic movie 2. Not much news since last time. But, we got action figures out. Apparently Tails has a gun, so that's awesome. Hopefully he gets into a cowboy fight with Shadow.
Yeah,
Duel
people are
at
freaking.
noon.
Yeah, people are freaking out over that figure. Like, oh my god, Tails has a gun. And I'm like, this ain't the first time we've seen Tails with a gun. Because, like, Fleetway Sonic, there was a time when, an issue where he almost assassinates Robotnik with a freaking rifle, or sniper rifle. And then, of course, let's not forget Sonic Adventure 2 with all those gun stuff that he has equipped on his Cyclone.
Fair enough.
All right. Yeah, I don't care. But it's nice. So, fun details. I guess everyone's upset about it. I don't know. I'm trying to shut my brain off for Sonic Movie 2 until it's out. I want to be surprised as much as possible. The movie convinced me. It looks good enough. I'm willing to watch it, and I'll just wait until it's done.
They're definitely spoiling us with a lot of trailers of new footage coming out. It's like, yeah, all this new footage coming out, all these new announcements for the franchise playing for the future, and we still don't know a damn thing about Sonic Prime.
Or barely anything about Sonic Frontiers. I guess they really want us to focus on this thing first. And the sequel and the TV show.
It is the thing coming out first, so...
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, sure, at least that's something to look forward to. It looks nice so far, so that's good news. But yeah, I don't have anything clever to say about it. I'm just kind of waiting for it to get done. It is kind of interesting how much they play up the owl theme, though. Like, there's a lot of owls in the background here in the poster. So they're really playing that up. So I'm curious if Longclaw gonna show up, or what kind of a lore we gonna get about that.
No, I think this is all just building up to the return of Old Man Owl from the Sonic OVA.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm a witch! I'm completely useless now!
Maybe they have a super surprise and they use that owl from Knight's Journey of the Dreams. That's suddenly like a Knight's reference. Because, hey, what's Sonic without any Knights of the Dreams references?
Yeah, Sega sure loves shoving in all those Knights references when they can't be bothered to make an actual new Knights game.
Nope. We'll see.
And that's kind of Sega in general.
Yeah.
It's like, remember our past, but we're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah, very painful. I mean, hey, at least there's like a dozen Jet Set Radio games coming out. I mean, not an official actual Sega Jet Set Radio, but hundreds of knockoffs. So at least if you're happy with those, you get something out of it. Yeah, Sega's kind of lame in that regard. Oh, well, we can't complain too much. I mean, they did resurrect like Alex Kidd and Streets of Rage and Panzer Dragoon lately, so it's not like they're not doing anything at all. But they do it very low budgety. I mean, I guess that's the problem with Sega. It's very much arcade games. I don't think many of their old IPs are really translatable to modern games. Like it's really like you jump in, you have fun for an hour, and then you jump out. It's not really like a 60-hour campaign stuff, unless it's Phantasy Star, which also did have a new installment recently in Sakura Wars.
Oh, that is interesting. I thought that Sega had nothing to do with the Alex HD game.
Uh, well, yeah, they didn't really make it. That's true. They just gave permission. But
Yeah, so it's in that same category like when they brought back Toe Jam and Earl and Shenmue 3. It's like, yeah, Sega properties, but Sega had nothing to do with them.
not really. No. Well,
Technically, that's also what's going on with Bayonetta.
pretty much, yeah. Although
Yeah.
technically, Toe Jam and Earl has never been a Sega franchise. Just by complete coincidence, they kept being associated with it. But
Yeah,
I
I guess that's
understand
true.
what you mean. Yeah. All right, so we're done with the Sonic movie. We're just waiting till it's done in April.
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully by then we'll all, well, some of us will have recovered from dealing with tax day by then. Oy.
Tell me about it. I'm not financially the best position either now. Oh well, it's access.
Yeah. I feel like there was something else we had planned to talk about.
Yeah, we're still. Well, what else? Not Seth Rogen, Chip and the Rescue Ranger. You want to talk about that one?
Oh yeah, the Chip and Dale movie. I think that was it.
That looks surprisingly interesting. It feels like, and like there's even a cameo of the bunny himself. It feels like a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Pretty much.
Y-
Yeah. I mean, if they
Yeah, I
take
saw.
that focus, that'd be nice.
Because
Yeah,
there's like this a mixed matching of different like live action and cartoon art styles, and also like properties that don't even belong to Disney are involved. So
yeah. Like the most notable one is the most of the main six cameoing at in a split second in the trailer. That completely threw me off guard.
yeah, My Little Pony characters. All of the
Yeah.
main six except Rarity show up, as well as two random ponies.
Yeah, I've already seen people joke about the models. It's like, oh, they just ripped their models from like the Game Loft mobile phone game.
That's awkward. It took me so long to even notice that 2D animation is actually 3D animation. That 3D models, but yeah, they all look off.
Yeah, they are 3D models, just cell shaded, and there
Yeah.
are times where it's more obvious than others.
Oh yeah.
That's really a shame because Space Jam 2 did have proper 2D animation, so they did went all the way to when you see 2D animation, it's proper and not just cheating like this one. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, my enjoyment of this Rescue Ranger movie is gonna depend. I mean, one of the key components in Roger Rabbit to me is that the cartoons never change personality depending on whether they're acting or in real life. Like they're not Krusty the Clown that when he's in front of the camera he's all joyful and happy, but then as soon as the camera's off he immediately like smokes a cigar and is a grumpy. Like Roger Rabbit stays true to himself all the time, and when you meet like Donald Duck and Daffy Duck in the wild, they still behave properly like Donald Duck and Daffy Duck. Like if they keep true to the characters, then I might enjoy this. But I'm kind of worried they're gonna be very meta, so that they're gonna be more self-aware, and like Montgomery Jack from Rescue Rangers is gonna be like an addict. So they're gonna like break down their personalities a little more, and that's probably gonna annoy me a lot because cartoons
Yeah,
kind of need.
that's something I've noticed from the trailer is that they seem to be going with getting the gang back together tropes, where like they've grown apart and they've all gone through different midlife crises, where like Dale got cosmetic surgery to look younger, and Monterey Jack is this cheese addiction. Obviously, I mean he always had that, but now it's like played for like not laughs. And then Gadget and Zipper are nowhere to be seen, which I'm
Well,
very
actually,
concerned about.
well, actually, Zipper does briefly show up in a part of the trailer, but yeah, aside from the opening, we haven't seen Gadget like anywhere else in any new scenes.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, yeah. So probably gonna get a dark and edgy twist on her as well.
Yeah, especially with one of the last shots showing that weird creature that's like a hybrid of Aristocats, Wreck-It Ralph, and everything. It definitely reminds me of the Beetleworks from Epic Mickey, being this weird hodgepodge of like Disney characters compiled into one.
I don't think that was Aristocats. I think that was just Fat Cat from Rescue Rangers.
Yeah,
We'll
I don't know.
see.
It kind of.
With
I don't
that
know. I
twist.
looked at it closely and it looked like there was a pink bow on there, but I don't know. I have to check again.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought the Aristocats too before because that's what the art style kind of reminded me of. But yeah, I guess we'll find out if we're gonna watch it. I'm not entirely sure because I'm not a
I'll
big fan
probably
of.
I'm
watch
definitely
it.
gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it out of morbid curiosity. Because after watching the trailer, it's like, wow, this movie's really weird.
Either way, yeah, I feel sorry for actual Rescue Rangers fans because this is not gonna be like a proper Rescue Rangers thing. Probably again, it's better to look at this as like a Roger Rabbit kind of thing. Probably.
Yeah, well, it could have been worse. They could have been given the Dragon Ball Evolution treatment.
Uh,
Yeah, everything can be worse, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, I hate the fact that Chip and Dale like have normal voices now, like celebrity voices.
yeah.
I mean, cartoons and their voice are inseparable. You know, like when you think of Fred Flintstone or Beavis and Butthead or Donald Duck, like they have a very distinct voice. You don't take that voice away. I mean, I get it. You can't always get the same voice actor, but at least get a good impersonation. But just completely like, and now they just talk normal. It's like no.
Yeah, I absolutely hate this obsession that Hollywood has nowadays with cramming celebrity voices into recognizable characters. Like, it's a miracle that Colleen O'Shaughnessy is voicing Tails in the Sonic movies. Because nobody else has that honor of, like, retaining their voice in blockbuster films.
I know. I mean, I was just watching the Beavis and Butthead movie a long time ago with the commentary, and they even wanted to replace Mike Judge with celebrities in that movie, even though it is animated. So, and in the middle of the TV show's run, it's like the ego of those Hollywood stars. But
Yeah.
I guess it's understandable now. I mean, they're all out of a job because of Corona, so I guess they're more desperate for any snippet of work they can find.
Yeah. Funny enough, when I first saw the ending teaser of the first Sonic movie where we see Tails and has some lines, I actually thought that was Tara Strong voicing the character, but then later I was like, oh, nope, it's Colleen still voicing the character.
Shocking, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, nowadays people are complaining about the new Sonic Movie 2 poster and like, hey, why aren't you giving Colleen blah 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 credit there? She deserves it. That kind of thing.
Yeah. But still, yeah, gotta give it to Sonic movie credit. They at least, I mean, well, except with Robotnik, there it is clearly like, just Jim Carrey just completely overrun Dr. Eggman. Like, just be yourself. But you know, they kind of limited themselves. I mean, with the Mario movie, they're obviously going in the other direction. I mean, I doubt Chris Pratt is gonna do like a Mario, "It's a me, Mario" kind of voice. Like he's just
Oh,
gonna
Yeah, I
well,
think
one.
I think
At
he already
most,
stated.
they'll do that as a joke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably gonna
probably.
be a joke somewhere, but
But yeah, I think he's already stated like, no, I'm gonna do my own version of Mario and not try and copy off Charles Martinet.
which again, an example of taking a cartoon character's very iconic voice away from them just for the sake of having a stupid Hollywood guy take over. Like,
And then of course there's characters who've rarely had an actual speaking voice, like how we're gonna have Jack Black voicing Bowser, so that'll be interesting to see.
I'm more concerned about Donkey Kong because Donkey Kong never talked. I mean, when did
Eh,
Donkey Kong?
Well, there's the
I
Donkey Kong
wouldn't say
Country
never.
TV show.
What are we talking about? Like a stupid Captain
Yeah,
N
the
or something?
No, the Donkey
No, no,
Kong
no.
Country TV show.
Oh, the 3D cartoon show. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, the weird
Yeah.
CGI motion capture series. Yeah.
It was very strange.
Guess I'll have to swallow my words then. But yeah, it's gonna be weird for me anyway to see because I mean Nintendo characters rarely talk, like especially the playable ones. So it's gonna be weird to see them all have like full sentences.
Yeah, the only time they had
Yeah.
more than one lines was just like Mario Sunshine, and that was it.
And even then, Mario barely talks. It's only Toad for her. Even Peach barely talks in that one. Even she only like says a couple phrases. Like, "Oh, Mario," like just can barely choke out a couple words. They're not very talkative. Only Bowser and Toadsworth really talk.
Yeah, Bowser, Toadsworth, and of course Bowser Jr. has his whole spiel, while
Oh,
Flood gets
yeah.
to do all the talking for Mario.
That's true. That's true. I forgot about Bowser Jr. I keep punching him out of my head.
Methinks you don't like the character that much.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a dick about that. Yeah, I should be.
Lemmy is clearly the best Koopaling.
There you go.
Lemmy / Cheatsy Koopa, or whatever his Mario 3 cartoon name was.
Yeah,
No,
I've been. A
he
little
he
too
is the
into
best because his name is Lemmy.
Ah.
Of course. Rockin'. I don't have a better Lemmy catchphrase now. All right. Sonic X, the grand finale of the first season.
Yep, the big finale.
Anyone wants to do a synopsis?
Yeah, I'll take it. So, episode 25, starts with, Tails taking the X Tornado out for another test flight for some reason, I guess. And there's some foreshadowing of Chris getting a little too attached to Sonic, let's say. Meanwhile, so Eggman has decided to try a new strategy for finding the last Chaos Emerald, and he has just built what he describes as the luckiest robot ever. And it's this really stupid-looking robot. He's a bell, and he's got a 7, a horseshoe, a 4-leaf clover, a ladybug, what I can assume are swallow wings, rabbit's feet, and a squirrel tail.
Yeah, made out of a bunch of random good luck charms. Although the squirrel tail, I always found that weird. It's like, huh? I mean, I've heard of ladybugs being considered lucky, but squirrels?
That is a weird one, yeah.
Maybe from a different culture, maybe a Japanese one?
I don't know. I tried looking it up, like, oh, are squirrels considered lucky? And all I could find was just, like, sites saying, like, oh, trade your squirrel tails in for fishing lures. Like, okay, I don't think that's what I'm looking for. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a culture thing.
You know, your collection of squirrel tails. Everyone's got one.
Well, I'm not much of a hunter.
So, yeah, a whole bunch of weird things. So, yeah, it goes out and it stumbles across Knuckles, who, he has this idea that maybe, like, they all need to work together to get back home. Back at school, Chris is still feeling depressed that Sonic is trying to leave, so, Mr. Stewart takes him to the counselor's office, which I don't know about in the Japanese version, but in the 4Kids dub, the sign just says counseling in all lowercase.
Yeah, it still says counseling in the Japanese version.
Okay, good. But there isn't actually a counselor. It's just a room Mr. Stewart takes Chris to talk to him.
You know, could just jump dead in the classroom, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gives him candy, but that only happens in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing for them to cut, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
but like
time reasons.
Well, like in the
specific reason, we'll discuss it.
Yeah, there's a specific reason for that scene. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is the beginning of the end for the last little bit of Chris's likability, because now he's just getting overly attached to Sonic.
Yeah, it's pretty much that whole joke that Roger did. Yeah, I want to impress Sonic with my skills and have butt sex with me.
And yeah, so then pretty much the rest of the episode is this Knuckles trying to create a truce between everyone and Eggman, which honestly is not that stupid of an idea. It's actually a pretty good idea, but how he implemented the plan is really stupid.
I wouldn't say it's a good idea, but an inevitable idea or an unescapable idea. But yeah, kind of clumsy.
I mean, it's something that like he figures they have to do eventually. But I don't think that means you have to do it now when you don't have all of the bargaining chips.
No.
So they don't have all of the emeralds. The 7th emerald is still MIA at the moment. And but Knuckles like agrees to talk to Eggman, and like Eggman pretends to agree to the plan on the condition that he give them their emeralds. And I assumed that Eggman just meant like the one Knuckles had. And I'm like, oh no, now Eggman's gonna have 2 emeralds. But no, Chris goes and steals the other 4 and brings them back to Eggman.
Trust him fully. Yeah.
That was definitely the dumbest thing that they could have done. Luckily, Eggman himself is also an idiot and immediately betrays Knuckles.
Yeah, he should have waited a bit.
He should have waited until he had all 7 emeralds and then betrayed Knuckles.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, yeah, this was very stupid ideas all around. All revolving around one decent idea, which is that they do eventually have to work with Eggman to get back.
Yep.
Yeah, that is kind of like, you think that does kind of sound like a dumb idea. Like, oh, why trust Eggman? Why don't just infiltrate his base and use get his Chaos Emerald to go home? But at the same time, it's like, well, okay, they feel responsible. They don't want to just leave Robotnik to take over their world.
That's
and
good
there's a subplot going on where the government doesn't really know whether or not Chaos Control will actually be safe, because to be fair, they don't know what happened to like their world when they were transported to this world.
Not to mention, a couple episodes ago, we saw when the 5 emeralds were put together, all the electronica exploded in a room.
Yeah.
So they already got a little foreshadowing that it could be horrible if that happens, yeah.
Yeah, I always found that weird, how, like, some of the Chaos Emeralds needed, like, some time to cool down until they felt comfortable being around each other.
They're very antisocial.
Apparently.
But that detail was completely removed from this episode. Now they can just put all 7 of them together. I mean, they did bring it up once, but only for Eggman to be lying to them. So, I can't show you that I have the emerald right here, because...
I mean, to be fair, it's not revealed that he's lying. He could have been telling the truth.
That is a good point.
But,
it's never
again,
relevant anyway.
That's the only time it's brought up. He, very shortly after that, just puts all 6 of them together.
Yeah, so I guess wasn't lying. But yeah, so they did bring it up once. But after that, they just happily put all the Gale's emeralds together and never really causes trouble. Until Sonic goes super, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so first parter, so it doesn't really end quite there, but I guess we'll just discuss it from here, to not have too much to talk about. Yeah, I guess we can talk a little bit about the differences between Japanese and American. It's not super dramatic, but I did spot a couple interesting details. Yeah. First interesting detail, the garbage man. The American version completely ignores them or doesn't really put any emphasis on it, but I think the Japanese version really implies that one of the trash men is actually the helper from the president, because he was talking about that girlfriend again. Because a couple episodes ago, he got fired because they were angry about him working with Eggman for that race.
Yeah, that kind of threw me off a bit. It's like, oh, this random guy who's just yelling out, Vivian! And like, oh, wait, it's that guy that got fired. Like, yeah, he's actually done a lot more in the Japanese version, while he's just largely ignored in the English dub, which is weird.
Yeah, it's already kind of weird that they have such strong continuity, because that race episode was just a filler episode, so they actually did remember that he got fired from that. And yeah, so he randomly makes a cameo in this episode as a trash man. I guess out of desperation to have some kind of job. But yeah, it's never really important. So I mean, I guess this is some kind of a series finale, so I guess they wanted to give him some sort of epilogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you only saw the American version, you're going to miss out that detail.
Like I did.
Yeah, you did notice?
No, I missed out.
Yeah.
This is why we keep telling you to watch the Japanese version.
I will when we get to season 3. I will watch both when we get to season 3, because I have heard that the differences between the American and Japanese versions are significantly different in there, and I want to know exactly, because you've talked up how much better the Japanese version is. And I know, 2 differences between the Japanese and English versions of those episodes. One of them I think the Japanese did better, one I think 4Kids did better. But we'll get to that.
Well, I've given 4Kids some credit here and there. There's some parts where I do think they improved on things. But so far, I'm mostly neutral about it.
Yeah, I've said a few good things about the 4Kids version, but for me, it's usually just, the Japanese is better.
Fair enough. Although, again, the Japanese put so many fourth wall jokes in here. Even here, there was the serious, dramatic finale, and yet still hundreds of fourth wall jokes. It drove me insane. Which, fortunately, in the American version are all removed. So,
but I mean, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like in the cruise episode where everyone was breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, that's true. It's not too bad. But I was surprised how many there were. But there were a couple funny ones, so credit to them. But I think most of them were in the next episode. We'll talk about it then. Uh, yeah, I guess we could
So,
talk a bit about the counseling scene. Well,
oh
first of
yeah.
all, now we do get confirmation that Mr. Stewart actually does talk to someone on GON because they do actually talk to him back on his communicator. Because
Yeah, and
Luke or
the
you
name
brought up,
Chalk,
yeah,
uh, yeah, the name Chalkboard Charlie does get mentioned again, which he seemed to have abandoned for a little bit.
yep,
When like the last time he reported in, he didn't use the name. So, but it's back here. So,
a little bit of continuity again. But yeah, so we do get confirmation. Yes, he is still in contact with the others. Anyway, yeah, the counseling scene. It's not a big deal or anything, but yeah, the American version have more like generic things. So like, hey, Chris, you need to do the right thing, and kind of have, you need to let Sonic go and let him do the right thing. The Japanese did bring up that very typical Japanese cultural thing about the importance of memories. That's why he gave Mr. Stewart gave him a candy, like a little,
Like a
just a little
piece of
sweet.
hard candy or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, hey, the candy is gone very quickly, but you'll remember the taste for the rest of your life. So that's kind of like the Japanese philosophy kind of thing. It's like, oh, you have to let Sonic go because it's the memory of him that counts and not actually being with him. So for some reason, I guess the Americans really don't like that philosophy to just replace it with
Yeah.
more generic.
It's probably a culture thing of they're just like, hey, we can't show that. It's just, people would think that Stewart's just giving Chris some drugged up candy. Like some candy, boy?
Yeah, there's always this weird undertone with Mr. Stewart. Yeah, even though he never really does anything bad, but if you look at his actions with the idea of he could be a child molester, then he's a very creepy character. Yeah.
Chris.
Again, just dragging him in a counselor room or no counselor or anything. We never see any of the school staff except for the principal in one episode. I think it's almost like
Yeah,
he
that
has
is
the whole
weird.
school for himself alone.
Yeah, that is weird. Like, I assume Chris has, like, more than one teacher for, like, different classes or whatnot.
Well, this is elementary school. I think in elementary school you only have one central teacher for the most part, or is it
Yeah.
different
Oh,
in America?
yeah, I think that is elementary school, yeah.
So
Yeah.
only in
thinking
high
more
school
middle
did I get different teachers for each subject. Yeah.
I remember getting
Yeah.
different teachers during middle school, then high school.
Same.
But yeah.
All right.
Same, but yeah, Chris is definitely still in elementary age,
Ah,
despite the math lessons he apparently gets in school.
yeah.
Yeah. Did they show that in this episode? I didn't notice that.
No, that was like back in the teacher episode, the teacher bot.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Showing off,
Where-
like, more advanced calculus and whatnot.
I was kind of laughing at the start of the episode when we see Sonic and Tails like leave with the plane, and it cuts back to the human characters, and one of Chris' like schoolmates is suddenly there. It's so funny because they're so like still desperately trying to communicate that she's the main character, even though I don't think she still hadn't gotten a proper introduction even to this point. I don't even remember
Yeah.
her name because they barely even referred to her. What's
Yeah.
her name again?
He's like Francine, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it is Francis.
Have they ever said her name on the show until this point? I don't remember.
I'm sure there might have been one instance, but I can't remember. I'm kind of on and off with the season 1 marathoning.
But
Yeah, they had to have said it because I know her name is Francis.
yeah, Danny and Francis, they're so non-entities, and yet this show is still like showing them. They're just so randomly getting a close-up like they're a main character, and it just made me laugh so hard. It's kind of sad. It's kind of like they're being treated the same way how Knuckles and Amy are treated in modern Sonic games. It's like, oh, they're technically main characters. They technically show up, but I don't know why. They have no motivation or introduction or any kind of presence. They're just there.
Yeah, especially when there's like scenes where Chris is like still moping about Sonic Lead, like, no, my best friend, my only friend, and Francis and Danny are like, what are we, trash to you?
Yeah.
It certainly is like the weirdest thing because Chris always acts like he was lonely and depressed before Sonic showed up, and like he's got these very close friends with him.
Yeah.
But no, the space rodent is definitely more important.
Poor Danny and Francis. Yeah, they're really being done dirty. I wonder. Well, I doubt they're gonna get more screen time next time because after this we're gonna get all the game adaptations, so they definitely not gonna get any screen time. So
Oh, yeah.
There was also a really weird moment in this episode where Cream is watching her weird Barney ripoff show,
Yeah.
and then she just starts crying for some reason, and like Chris rushes over with urgency to see what the problem is, and it's revealed that her show is not going to be playing next week, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it felt like such a random moment in the episode.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel
like
like there was.
it meant something, but then it didn't.
Yeah, I felt there was supposed to be some kind of payoff, like, oh, she's crying that their show won't be on next week because, like, by then when it gets back on, they'll like be back in Sonic's world, or they assume they'll be back in Sonic's world by then. So, yeah, I don't know. It feels like that's just a joke that should have had a more proper payoff.
I had two thoughts about it. First, that maybe it's like a reference to that the show is about to end because this is kind of like the series finale. Well, it wasn't, but it kind of feels like one. But second, I think in the Japanese version, it kind of lingers a little longer on Chris being sad, so it kind of fits in the theme of him of being like rejected or lost. I mean, that's right after Chris got that speech from Mr. Stewart, right? Like, oh, you have to let Sonic go, even though it might feel sad, you have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So I guess it's supposed to play in that theme a little bit, but yeah, I agree. It felt really random. It has connections with what's going on thematically, but it feels really like a big lipped alligator moment, as they call it on the TV tropes. Yeah.
A big-lipped alligator moment from ancient times on the internet.
I mean, I guess it's a proper trope now, so it's still being used.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
suppose.
it originally came from a very old Nostalgia Critic video. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most modern people just call it, like, oh, what the fuck moment or something like that.
Fair enough. That sounds more catchy.
Yeah. One thing I feel like pointing out is like Lucky. Like, yeah, this robot is obviously meant to be some kind of joke character because, like, despite the fact he's like supposedly lucky, he keeps like getting himself into weird shenanigans. Like, oh, tries to catch up to the train, but no, we can't get up the stairs, or oh, he gets dumped in the trash heap, and then he just so happens to find the last Chaos Emerald in that dump that's inside like this old rusted safe or whatnot.
Well, honestly, I would actually consider that lucky, because if he'd gotten on the train, he wouldn't have fallen in the garbage, and if he didn't fall in the garbage, he wouldn't have found the Chaos Emerald.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true, but then it's only lucky for Eggman because he wants the Gale's Emerald, but Lucky isn't really lucky for himself because he just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, did he even survive? Because the last time I think we saw him was right before he got exploded with Sonic, right before Sonic turned Super, but we never see him after that.
Yeah, I think he shows up later on in the series, but I can't remember.
Oh, really? He shows up in a later episode? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering about him and how lucky is he if he gets killed like every other robot. Because that's one of my problems with this show. Like, they make some of Eggman's robots kind of likable and charming, but then they still die at the end. It's kind of a little mean spirited.
Yeah, actually, Lucky does show up during the Sonic Battle adaptation, so...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so he's still okay. All right. So I guess he really was lucky, even though he keeps getting hurt.
Yeah. And then, of course, he's the... I remember listening to, like, his voice. He's like, oh, it's just him just constantly out, beep, 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 beep. And every time I hear that, it's like, yeah, Lucky just sounds more like a high-pitched version of Shemp Howard from the Three Stooges. You know, whenever he's doing his whole beep, 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 beep noise.
Ah, who knows? Maybe it's a reference. Love making references.
Yeah, who knows? It's kind of funny. This is like the third time we brought up the Three Stooges in this stream.
Yeah, it's really
It brings the charm.
Fair enough. There's a lot of slapstick going on, I suppose.
Yeah.
Though, hey, if Sonic's gonna emulate one of the classic slapstick actors, I would prefer to see like some Buster Keaton action or something. That'd be cool for a Sonic.
Yeah,
episode.
like the old house wall trick where like falls down. It's like, no, he just so happens to be in the spot where the door is, and he's perfectly fine when the wall crashes.
More like the movie where he's like on a train that starts running into like tree trunks and all that. And he has to run around the train and desperately like knock things away from it before the train crashes. Like, that sounds like a fun Sonic thing where you kind of have to run back and forth on a vehicle. It's about to crash into things.
Yeah. I haven't seen that many Buster Keaton films. I remember the one I saw was Our Hospitality. That was actually one I got to saw live at an old theater with like a live organ and whatnot. So it definitely felt like a blast from the past. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that's my
cool.
main experience with the film. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're going a little off topic right now.
Yeah, I don't have much to say else for this Oh, I guess one thing is one thing I just noticed with this episode, like when Rouge is shown, like when they're like trying to hunt down the Egg Fort 2, I noticed that Rouge doesn't really flap her wings; she just floats there. She's kind of like she does what Knuckles does in the OVA film.
Cheap animation. Oh well, it works. I guess there's a couple more things I wanted to say. I kind of like Knuckles and Chris running around the station. Kind of make me nostalgic for Sonic Adventure. Finally got yet another part of Sonic Adventure represented in the anime. Going to the station, running into a train.
Oh, yeah. Especially in the Japanese version, where you hear the announcer saying, "The train headed for Forest Hill will be departing soon."
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Yay! That's it. And I found funny that at one point in the American version, they say the train like departed at 4:00, even though it's nighttime outside. Like you see the stars in the black sky.
Yeah. Maybe he meant to say 4 a.m.
4 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how long the trains keep driving in Japan. But here in the Netherlands, they stop driving after midnight. Oh well. Well, episode 26. So the continuation.
Move on to episode 26. Yeah.
Melting Man, you want to do the synopsis? Or is it my turn?
Yeah, I guess I will. So, right, it picks up where the last episode left off, where Robotnik has now launched the Egg Fort 2 back up in the air, but now he has all 6 Chaos Emeralds. So Sonic is chasing after Chris to try and save him, and as well as Gun that are sending out their new Beetle machine enemies to attack Robotnik. So, yeah, lots of stuff happens. Sonic tries to fight him off, especially when they start fighting over trying to get the last emerald from Lucky. And, yeah, the nice little goodbye scene with Topaz and Rouge. But then then Robotnik's like, all right, time to unload the big guns, where Robotnik transforms the ship into a giant robot after he gets pissed off when he discovers that the Beetle robots are actually robots that were copied off of his designs and machinery that Gun did. So he uses the Chaos Emeralds to fully charge up the robot to fight off Sonic, and is surprised that it's quite powerful, and then the machine overloads and becomes too much to handle. And eventually it ends with Chris breaking free because he's strapped down, so he grabs the Chaos Emeralds. Rouge tries to grab them, but then Chris manages to knock himself out. Well, get out of Rouge's grasp. So Sonic and all the Chaos Emeralds fall down to the ocean, and thus we get our first introduction to some supersonic action. And he destroys the robot, which somehow causes chaos control. And then it ends with this sort of vague ending, although in the Japanese version it is blatantly stated what happened. But yeah.
Fair enough. It was a very interesting episode. I think we have a couple things to talk about. Okay, the first thing I noticed when the episode starts, especially in the Japanese version, it starts really weird with Danny, Francis, and Helen mocking Cream for some reason. Like I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like they're like, oh, I'm Cream and I like this cartoon character. Ha ha ha! Ha. What a dumb bitch. Like, well, that's a little out of character for them to be so mean-spirited towards Cream. I don't think that was the intention, but that's kind of how it came across. Like, okay, what? I mean, the American version kind of removed the reference to Cream, but they still kind of laugh about the...
Yeah, they're just kind of more like, oh, hey, it's the purple dinosaur knockoff guy. He's my favorite character. That kind of thing.
It was a really random moment, but yeah.
Yeah. But hey, at least we get to see Helen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best girl.
Yep.
Absolutely. Even if just
the one who should have been Sonic's friend.
Oh, yeah. I didn't pay attention in the American version. In the Japanese version, it was a joke, which I'm pretty sure they removed in the American version, but I didn't check. Like when Sonic goes by, Helen's dress goes up, and then he accidentally sees her panties, and she looks angry at him. Like typical Japanese stuff.
I think that was that was cut out of the English stuff, and that always kind of confused me when I saw the English version. But in the Japanese version, it's like you see this brief animation where Danny opens his eyes first, and then Helen looks at him angrily. It's like, oh, okay, he's being a perv.
Well, he didn't do it on purpose. I mean, I had to look 5 times because I didn't know why Helen was suddenly looking angry at him. Like, he didn't
it's like this very split-second thing that happens here.
Man, it's anime, so I guess those kind of jokes always have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Even wheelchair girls aren't safe. This is really the episode where the 4Kids version constantly putting like a sexy phone music behind Rouge really becomes awkward. Because there's so many moments that now unnecessarily become very romantic, even though it wasn't the intention. like where Rouge just picks up Chris and he hear the sexy music. Like, what am I supposed to think now? What are you trying to tell me?
Yeah, basically it's like, oh, random character, Rouge shows up, then oh, there's a different character, then Rouge shows up.
Like again, Topaz giving Rouge the goodbye gift, but then the sexy music immediately starts. Like, whoa, you're trying to really sell that couple to me.
Yeah, bestiality.
Oh, it's supposed to be a goodbye gift because they didn't explain that in the 4Kids dub. She just gives Rouge a random gift.
It's really random, yeah. But the Japanese version is he kind of says like, okay, I give him you so you don't have to say goodbye or something. So.
Yeah, it's more of just a goodbye gift in both versions.
Because they know.
Unless you watch it out of context, then you can say like, "Oh, they're being lesbians" or whatever.
Well, the sexy saxophone doesn't help.
Yeah, there just comes the annoying thing.
It certainly is a weird scene, but it's also like kind of adorable in a ways because these two started out hating each other and now like they still pretend to hate each other, but they secretly care for each other. It's cute.
Yeah, it's a nice wrap up. I mean, like I said before, this episode really feels like a series finale, so it's a nice way to kind of wrap up their connection. Even though I know it continues, so we'll get to see them more, but it does feel like a proper goodbye. If this was the final episode, I suppose.
There was another moment I've been wondering about the Japanese version is when the gun beetles first show up and like everybody, including Sonic, like mistakes them for Eggman's robots. Eggman like looks at Deco, says, "Was it your idea to send those robots?" And Deco says, "I do not get ideas, Doctor." And Eggman just says, "Good boy," and pats him on the head.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it does happen in the Japanese version, except slightly different. There he said, "Oh, did you build those robots?" And I go, "We can't build them." I like the American version more. Like, oh, we don't think. So it made it even funnier, yeah. But yeah, it kind of happened. But it was a great moment, yeah, I like it.
I rewound that part so many times because it's just so funny.
Yeah.
I always loved the head pet thing, so condescending. Like, oh, there's a good little boy.
Yeah.
I really
speaking of the gun beetles,
yeah.
When the Exterminator has all 6 Chaos Emeralds, it completely just obliterates all of the guns beetles. The people who are in them are definitely dead.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Because they never showed him escaping or anything. I think the Japanese version mentioned something about they're using an internal voice. So I was wondering if they meant that means that the gun soldiers actually aren't in the beetles, they're just like projecting their voice into it. But it's never really explicitly said. And the American version does even less. Like I was expecting the 4Kid version to kind of force like a voiceover. No, we're still okay. Don't worry, kids. But no, they never did. So far as we know, yes, tons of people died. Which is weird because we know in season 3, like one girl dies and they kind of remove that in the American version. So, this episode, they don't care.
Good thing it's Sunday.
Garbage day.
So yeah, that's pretty dark. Yeah, I was really expecting 4Kids quickly throwing a line. No, we're okay, don't worry. But nope.
I was waiting for it too. I'm like, oh, how's 4Kids going to deal with this? They don't.
Nope. Gun soldiers
They're
die.
just like, well, can't work our way out of that one. Those guys are dead.
Yeah.
That was very surprising, yes.
Yeah. In fact, speaking of the Exterminator robot, it's kind of interesting because like that's how it is in the U.S. version. In the Japanese version, the robot is actually called the Egg Emperor. Yeah, not to be confused with the other Egg Emperor from Sonic Heroes.
Did he? I thought he was just called Egg E99. I don't remember him calling him Emperor. I guess I missed that part.
Well, it's in the Japanese version from the subtitles I read on Hulu. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. More things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, one of the few 4-wall jokes I did enjoy, where the Robotnik is yelling angry at Gun for stealing his components, while Boku holds up the cards of all the designs Robotnik stole from the Thunderbirds and all that, and Gundam. I was not expecting that them to actually refer to that. Like, oh yeah, we also stole designs. So that was a fun moment. One of the few times I did like the 4-wall joke. I'm kind of surprised how much I like Boku and Doku. But at first I thought like, oh, they're just generic robots, but here they're more fun because they have much more like dynamic going on with Robotnik.
Yeah, when the series started, Deco and Bogo were just kind of generic servant robots, but then later on they decided to kind of have more fun with them.
They're kind of what I wanted with Orbot and Cubot, where like Robotnik is actually constantly condescending towards them. It's like, oh, he like the lucky robot, like the mocking how useless he is. Well, he's still better than you. You're even more useless. It's like, nice.
Yeah, and they're actually pretty competent as opposed to Orbot and Cubot.
That too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of lucky, I guess we should talk about that one scene that only happens in the Japanese version.
Oh yes. Speaking of unintended romance.
Oh no.
Go ahead,
I don't like where this is going.
Okay, so the scene where like Lucky is like flown into the air from all the explosions, and Sonic's jumping on the Beatles to like catch him, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I won't hurt you, but I really need that emerald back, please." So it just kind of happens there. In the Japanese version, right after that, Lucky immediately falls in love with Sonic.
Hearts and everything, romantic music.
Yeah, hearts and everything.
Big explosion of love.
And it's funnier in the Japanese version when like Lucky is flying with his wings, like Deco is like, "Oh, it's the power of love," instead of like how it's different in the US version.
I'm surprised Amy didn't get angry at the robot.
I don't think they were there yet, but I don't know. Maybe they were too far away to notice Lucky.
Yeah, Amy barely had a cameo in this episode, so
yeah,
that makes sense. But yeah, that was very weird in the Japanese version. I can understand why they removed it, not because it was bad or anything, but it just felt very random, especially since it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Japanese version of Sonic X has this weird habit of robophilia. I mean, there's that scene with Cream trying to hit on the pitcher robot, and then this happens.
Not to mention the ninja lady with the boobs.
Oh yeah.
Or the gorilla with the boobs.
Oh yeah. You'd think that with Deco and Boko operating, they would have been enjoying it.
No, because we're constantly getting punched by the
yeah.
And yet again, we see a fish dying. What is it with Sonic and dying fish? We see poor fish flopping on the ground after the big splash. I'm like, no, save that fish, Sonic! Don't let him die there. He's a monster.
The Sonic world is against the fish race, so I guess that's why we never see more Anthromobian-like fish characters in the Sonic franchise.
Yeah, we never see fish characters, and every time we see fish, they're always dying, and Sonic just lets it happen. Like, So,
well, okay, there was one time in Archie Sonic's new canon seeing more anthro-looking fish characters like sharks and jellyfish, but that's a whole different thing.
Fair enough. Yeah, I remember seeing his shark characters, yeah. But yeah, I guess so when in movie Sonic let the fish die, I guess it was a homage to Sonic X or something?
Maybe.
Fish get no respect. Poor fish.
It's funny because, like, fish are actually a symbol of good luck in Japanese. So, like, it's kind of funny that there's this, like, robot walking around that is, like, the embodiment of Lucky Charms. and they still let a fish die.
Yeah.
How strange indeed. Yeah. Okay, and then Sonic gets a gruesome beatdown, just like Gun, because the robot's super powerful. I was surprised they kept that intensity in the 4Kids version. When I watched the Japanese version, I was laughing like, "Oh man, the American version is so gonna neuter this," but they didn't. Surprisingly, they did.
The only thing they changed was Robotnik's reaction.
I want to talk about that. That's the most fascinating thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so recently Addict Talk, or I made a video with Elise, one of the previous Sonic Dissected guests, and that video still needs to come out, so it isn't out yet. But we were talking about Sonic Adventure 2, and we were always kind of fascinated about Dr. Eggman, because the writers never seem to know how far they want to take him, how evil he is, because the whole game is about, he wants to destroy the planet. But he still has to be likable because he has to return next time, and they don't want to make him too dark. So we always kind of wondering if Sonic didn't stop them the first time, or they didn't meet his demand, was he actually gonna blow up the planet, or what was he gonna do? Just pretend he missed or something? And now with this episode, yet again, we get this. It's like the writers really don't know what to do with Dr. Eggman. So this is a very dark episode. Like the robot's supposed to nearly kill Sonic, and cause severe damage, a very brutal fight. But it's clear the writers don't feel very uncomfortable with Robotnik there. So they do a weird thing where Robotnik just loses control of the robot in the Japanese version, so he's constantly panicking and like freaked out about how much damage they're causing. And it's really weird. It's like Robotnik really stops being a character in the second half of the Japanese version. He's basically just held hostage by his own robot. And it's even weirder that the 4Kids version completely removed that. There it is like Robotnik is more than happy to murder Sonic. That really caught me by surprise. But I'm really fascinated how the Japanese writers are really uncomfortable about the idea of Robotnik actually being evil, because it makes me wonder what is his plan even? How is he going to take over the world if he's never going to kill Sonic, if he's uncomfortable with that idea?
Yeah, I always did find that weird in the Japanese version with how they tried to handle Robotnik's like, well, he's evil, but we don't want him to be like a cold-blooded killer, which is really gonna get weird when we get to the Sonic Adventure 2 adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not sure what to do with Robotnik. Like because he has
like
to come back in every game, so they can't take him too far, and yet he's still supposed to be a very threatening villain. It's maybe that's why he's so dumb and worthless in the later games, and maybe that's just their way to solve this problem.
Yeah, because it does kind of opens quite the plot hole. It's like, well, if he doesn't want to actually kill anybody, then why the hell did they create like missiles, bombs, and things that can actually kill people that are nearby?
It's really random, yeah. Like every single time, he's just more than happy to cause horrible damage and probably kill lots of people. And just for this scene, all of a sudden he's supposed to be like, we're hurting Sonic. I feel so bad now.
Yeah, that
really
is
weird.
Yeah, this is the first time we see a more like not so evil Eggman, at least in the Japanese version. Because like when Sonic's like staggering, like, oh, I'm going after Chris. You're not gonna stop me. And in the Japanese version, Robotnik's actually begging Sonic to stop because he doesn't want to do it anymore because of how overpowered the robot is. While the English dub is, he's just like, oh, you're a stubborn little rodent, aren't you?
There's more than happy.
I suppose we could say that the 4Kids version is more consistent here because he's not really concerned about Sonic. He's concerned about like his robot like breaking itself.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Although it does change the difference. That means technically the Chaos Emeralds themselves are actually the villain in the Japanese version, because they're the ones that actually kill Sonic, which is weird because then later we use the Chaos Emeralds to become super.
Well,
really weird if you think like that.
Well, they're evil because they were being used for evil.
Yeah, but Robotnik's no longer controlling them. At that point, it's the Chaos Emeralds really projecting the robot at that point.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Now that I think about it, like, I think it might actually be implied that Sonic was killed during this fight, and the Chaos Emeralds brought him back. Which would be funny, because that's happened at least 3 times now. Where Sonic gets killed and then transforms into Super Sonic to come back to life. Because it happened here in Sonic 06 and Sonic Generations.
Oh yeah, I thought in Generations he was just knocked out.
I mean, it could be, because all the other characters don't at all react to him seemingly dying, but like he is just laying there, completely motionless on the floor.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. I mean, Generation's so light on story, I'm not really expecting anything.
I always found that really funny, because like the arm comes out, squashes Sonic and Classic Sonic, and like he's just laying there dead. And Eggman's like, now I'll finish you off.
It should have been like, oh, Sonic's dead. I'm not dead yet.
Like a Monty Python sketch or something?
Yeah, Monty Python reference, yeah.
It's the opposite of that. He is dead, nobody believes it.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So this is our first look at Super Sonic and Sonic X, and I gotta say, it's pretty cool. He like has this like air of power to him that like he's here and suddenly like everything's gonna be okay.
Especially how it just captures the arm of the robot. Like he completely gets knocked out and beaten up horribly until he becomes super, and then just with one arm he just casually captures his hand. Like that's the point where you know, okay, the fight is over.
Yeah.
But yet again, I have to bring up the Japanese version, unfortunately, as a recurring theme, because the Japanese version does this weird thing where the second half of the entire episode is basically a music video where just the sad music is playing. Like it's supposed to be very like, tragic or mournful or something, and it's just really weird. And I guess it's extremely Japanese.
Yeah, that is a bit weird.
And
It's one
it
of the
really
rare.
changes the mood of everything. Like it doesn't have any like triumphant or actiony like feel to Supersonic showing up. It just feels like the part of this melancholy song that keeps going on because it's really focused on Chris crying, and this whole scene just takes place as if it's a sad goodbye moment with Sonic and Chris, which it technically is, but it kind of overruns all the other things happening. So here it's Supersonic, and you have music playing in the background, but it ain't any live and learn rock music. It's just this sad, this sad ballad.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking.
It's very Japanese because in the American version, the music's a lot more dynamic with like, oh, battles happen, this happens, that kind of thing, rather than just in the Japanese version where it's just this one consistent track.
This song, yeah, it's really weird. So, and yet again, I have to say, I kind of prefer the American version where it just plays normal events.
Yeah.
Then again, I guess it depends on how much you like Chris. I mean, if you're really like into Chris and his relation with Sonic, I guess the Japanese version is more emotional because it really puts emphasis on their goodbye.
Yeah.
Which I have to bring up that last moment where Supersonic and Chris are laying in a white background. Like that's such a weird imagery. It's like, what is going on? Is he dead in heaven or something? When this.
Yeah, and then like like Supersonic like heals all the bruises that Chris has, and they have one last hog, and then Supersonic disappears, and Chris is just stuck there for a while, and I'm just like, oh, Chris is like, yeah, thanks Sonic, you left me in freaking purgatory.
I was almost expecting Harry Potter to show up. Was there Harry Potter had a scene like that in the last movie too? It's like, what's going on?
No, I think it would have been funnier if he like went to that white purgatory. Then after Sonic leaves, then like Chris just somehow manages to find a classic and modern Robotnik from the ending of Sonic Generations.
All right, Generations, yeah. We're stuck in time.
Yeah,
that was such a weird moment. Yeah, like, all of a sudden it's super dramatic, and I don't know. It's so surreal. It was a really weird ending to this episode.
Yeah, especially with how the implications for like the very last scene with all the final shots we get.
But yeah, speaking of like Supersonic just healing Chris's injuries, he seems to get a couple of interesting powers that he's never really shown before, including at one point it's like implied that he uses psychokinesis, so to like mess with the robot's other arm.
Yeah, he completely destroys it without actually touching it. So it's kind of weird how this, like, I think this predates Silver the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Yep. Much.
By a couple years, yeah.
Yeah, so weird.
Guess the idea was already playing in their minds. But yeah, I guess the Chaos Emeralds were always meant to have a lot of random powers.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like because Supersonic is this incredibly powerful thing, but like in the games, it's always just, oh, he can fly and he's invincible now.
Yeah, especially in the meta era where the Chaos Emeralds and Supersonic are like completely meta used. They have no story relevancy at all, with the exception of Generations.
Yeah, that's what I always say, that the Chaos Emeralds are supposed to grant wishes. And I guess how it's portrayed here, that works much better. Because it isn't just like, oh, you turn into Superman. Like, you can heal and you have mental power. So I guess it gives much stronger implications of he can legitimately do everything, not just kill monsters, but also do nice things, heal people. Like it's problem solving skills is much more varied here.
Yeah.
So it can legitimately follow up your wishes. But yeah, I guess we can talk about the vague imagery at the end, because it's very vague how it ends. Like all of a sudden it's very foggy, which kind of works with the Japanese version because the song is singing about fog. And we see the floating island. So I guess the implication is that parts of Sonic's universe are now teleported to Earth or something?
Yeah, in the English version, it's never really outright stated, but in the Japanese version, when like we get the extra shots and the credits are rolling, we do hear some extra bits of dialogue from like the government people that work for the president, where they're like freaking out, saying like, "Oh my God, a part of Sonic's world is now part of our world. What's going on?" That kind of thing.
I really don't remember seeing this episode's first run, because I was curious about how floating islands was going to show up, and now we finally have our answer. So I did not expect it.
Yep, Angel Island and the Mystic Ruins are there. We get a shot of Robotnik looking at the Perfect Chaos mural, obviously foreshadowing the events of Sonic Adventure and a few other stuff.
So that explains indeed how all those parts can finally be in the Sonic Adventure adaptation. So that's kind of clever. Man,
I guess that also explains where the Chaotix come from.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah, that happens like much later in season 2, but yeah.
I know it's kind of funny because they did already like foreshadow Big showing up because they did explicitly show him being teleported to Chris' world, except he never actually showed up. And now they have this secondary excuse, like things from Sonic Universe is into Earth, and only now is Big actually gonna make his official appearance. So in the end, they never had to show him in the first episode. In the end,
maybe Big was just maybe after the first blast, Big was just stuck in purgatory for so long, and then after the second Chaos Blast, like, oh, now he gets teleported to Station Square.
That would have been funny if Big showed up in that purgatory when Chris and Supersonic were ruining.
Oh yeah,
like a Sonic Adventure 2 cameo.
Oh yeah. Now that's just like an interesting parody idea. It's like, Chris meets up with like Big, who's like stuck in purgatory, and then meets the modern and classic Robotnik from Generations. Everyone's stuck in purgatory.
The end. Nice. Yeah, that was a weird episode.
I did want to really quickly answer Adrian's question in the comments. Can Supersonic travel back in time like Superman? Regular Sonic can do that. Have you played Sonic CD?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was a moment in R2 Sonic where Supersonic reset time with Chaos Control. That's kind of more different. It's like, oh well, Robotnik unleashed this thing called like the Genesis Wave that transformed the whole planet into like something more akin to the Genesis levels. But then that reality was becoming unstable, so we used Chaos Control to revert Mobius back to what it was, and do a little bit of time traveling to. Yeah, pretty much rewound time a few minutes before Sally was gunned down before the wave went off. So he was able to rescue Sally from being gunned down. So that's the only time travel bit I've ever seen Supersonic do.
Fair enough. And of course, Sonic 06 shows that when one kills emeralds, you can travel back in time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But like the way Superman does it is he just flies faster than the speed of light, so that he goes back in time.
That's true. We never saw Sonic do that.
There is this common misconception because of how it's portrayed in the movie that he reverses time by spinning the Earth the opposite direction, which causes time to go back. But it's the other way around. He's causing time to go back, which makes the Earth spin the other way.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw the Superman movie, so I don't remember the details. I'll believe you.
Yeah, I just mostly remember that whole scene from like top 11 dumb Superman moments from Nostalgia Critic or something like that, and that was like the number one thing: him reversing time by just spinning the Earth backwards.
Yeah, it wasn't him fixing the Wall of China in the fourth movie.
I don't know. I haven't really seen the live action Superman films, like the old classic ones, anyway. Yeah.
Fair enough. Anything else you want to say about the final episode? Or at least the fake final episode?
Let's see.
There was that moment where Chris just busts out of his restraints and steals all 6 Chaos Emeralds right in front of Eggman's face.
Oh,
that was pretty ballsy.
That's also different in the Japanese version. The Japanese version is implied to actually Boku saves Chris live because he was about to actually die from the electricity he got from the emeralds, and he shut off the power, which I think the American version removed. And then they just talked about that the plane was about to crash. They changed the dialogue. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't remember Boku like saving Chris from burning his hands from the emeralds or whatnot.
Yeah, I think they said that because that he turned the power off right after the first shock, and only that's why Chris survived. Otherwise, he would have died.
Ah, that's why. Yeah, I just mostly know with like when Chris is all huddled up with the emeralds, it's kind of different in the versions like the English. He's like, "Oh, the emeralds are mine. I won't let them take them from you." So it's kind of like, yeah, he doesn't want Robotnik to have the emeralds again. While the Japanese version, he's explicitly saying like, "No, Sonic is mine. He's gonna stay here." It's like, jeez.
It's so creepy. It's so weird.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh my god. I thought the English version was creepy. Just him randomly saying, "The emeralds are mine." Like, that's weird.
Him going
but,
all
oh my god, that's way better.
No, in the Japanese version, he completely turns to Sonic's waifu. It's really weird.
Yeah, what's worse, Chris acting like Sonic's waifu or Chris acting like Gollum from Lord of the Rings? My precious!
Oh my god.
Yeah, I gotta say, like from what I remember in the past, I thought Chris was always kind of like hijacking the show, and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised he didn't as much as I expected. But yeah, these two episodes this is the Chris I remember. Yeah, very like
Yeah.
almost romantically involved with Sonic and constantly crying and hijacking the plot. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, this is the beginning of the end for Chris's last little bit of likability.
yeah. So far, I kind of liked him, but now it starts to become creepy. Yeah, yeah. They kind of take it too
Mhm.
far. Poor kid. Yeah, it was very awkward and uncomfortable, kind of. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And it's still surprising how he was like strong enough to break out of those bonds.
Yep. His love for Sonic is just so strong.
The
I
power of
suppose
love. It makes you fly and act like Popeye, where you can break out of anything.
I suppose like the logical explanation is he didn't break the binds. He was just bolted to glass and he broke the glass instead of his bindings, but like I don't know. I like the implication that Chris just randomly got super strength at that moment.
It goes full on Popeye here.
Could be. Well, credit for the episode, I guess. It's very progressive with the Roots and Topaz and Chris and Sonic. The LGBT is well represented in this episode. Okay, I guess we're done with Sonic X. We move on to the weird manga.
Ah, yes,
Weird manga.
Yeah, we are returning to the wacky world of the Sonic Dash and Spin mangas.
Okay, well, I want to do the synopsis, but before, Melting Man, can you give a context? So what is this manga? Why are we talking about it?
Okay, I'll keep it short this time. So anyway, the Sonic Dash and Spin mangas were Sonic mangas made in Japan, and they never came out here in the US, so I've known about these for a while. So over the years, I've been trying to get these books translated into English, because there hasn't been a full, complete set of it. So I did manage to find someone to help me out. He's fully translated the second all the stories from the second volume. His name's Adamu something. We already brained about the last time, but yeah, right now I have all volume 2 fully translated, and I'm still waiting on volume 1. I'm not sure. It's been months since I've heard from him, so I don't know if he's just been super busy or if I just have the bad luck of losing contact with him and I have to go find someone else to help translate the mangas. But anyway, I felt like doing another story from this manga. I felt like picking out the one that features Shadow, because the way the mangas handle Shadow is very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, everything in the manga is interesting. It's a very weird take on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll try to give a synopsis. It's gonna be interesting. Anyway, we start off with Shadow running around in the city and going "ora ora ora ora," which of course is a JoJo reference, as the captain will happily tell.
Yep.
Then,
it's even got a similar font on the onomatopoeia for the do 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 do.
Of course.
Nice classical Japanese stuff, yeah. Anyway, then yeah, Shadow and Sonic meet. In this manga, apparently it's not canon with the game, so this is the first time they ever meet. So Shadow immediately goes, "What are you looking at?" Which is of course a Duckman reference. The hell are you staring at? And so they're gonna have a bit of a showdown. And then Robotnik shows up on a motorcycle to show off how cool and edgy he is, which of course is Wario reference because he is also on a motorcycle. But yeah, apparently Dr. Robotnik is now Shadow's sidekick in this version, because Shadow's just so cool that Eggman wants to learn from the master, even though he's still trying to trick Shadow into fighting Sonic, so he still thinks he's in charge even though he's acting like the sidekick for some reason. Really weird setup. Anyway, yeah, Shadow is super narcissistic in this version. He's all like, "Oh, I'm Shadow, I'm super amazing," which of course a reference to Batman. "I'm Batman, I'm Shadow." And Sonic and Shadow gonna have a competition with each other. So Shadow, of course, is still polite, so it's kind of a reference to all anime stuff where everyone's always bowing and saying "nice to meet you." So it's typical Shadow's personality here, both narcissistic and yet the weird Japanese polite thing. It's kind of
Man,
interesting mix.
man, a lot of unintentional references there. Yeah.
I'm just mocking the captain. He's always so obsessed about making JoJo references. Like, okay, I'm gonna make a reference for everything now.
Well, hey, now all you need is just a reference to something obscure, just to mock me to make it complete.
I'm sorry. I'm not good enough with obscure references. Anyway, yeah, Shadow's super narcissistic, which is, of course, a reference to Quackback Ken Powers. He's like, oh, he's so cool, and he has his own fan base, invisible, and Sonic is super annoyed by it. But yeah, the fight begins. So they have this
No.
weird.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They have a weird running gag where they're constantly making references to food, like he's yelling insults or fighting reference to each other, and then the other always said, "Oh, there's some kind of food, right?" It's probably a reference to Hot Shots Part Day, where they also fight with food. But yeah, they're constantly making puns about food, which I don't get because they're all like Japanese things. And then they yell, and there's more puns, and they talk about money and food, and I have no idea what the heck's going on. Supari's Path. It's very Japanese, so it's reference to things I don't understand.
Well, it is quoted in the in the text file. It's supposed to represent like bad boys, like it's bad dude's path. He had a cool way or something like that.
It wasn't it had a different name, right? A Kabunch. What was the PSP game again? Never mind. Anyway, yeah, and Robotnik is still trying to get Shadow to fight Sonic, so he's still desperately trying to egg him out, like, come on, you're not weak, are you? Please, fight! And then Shadow suddenly looks at him, and then he's all like, yay! We didn't think you had it in you. You proved that you completed the test. You wanted to test.
The best in the whole manga, yeah. Smiling Shadow.
Happy, smiling Shadow. Like, apparently Sonic and Shadow were just kind of teasing around because they were actually just playing around with Eggman, and Eggman accidentally said he was going to personally fight Sonic and Shadow if they didn't behave correctly. So they're immediately taking one on as a challenge with a very creepy face. It's kind of probably a reference to my crappy artwork. And then they beat up Robotnik in a very dark sense where he's just laying dead on the ground in the end. And then Sonic and Shadow are best friends, and Amy is in love with Shadow, so Shed Amy moment, I guess. The end. It's very strange and weird. Captain, what are your thoughts on this manga?
It is definitely strange. In a weird way, I actually kind of like Shadow's characterization here. Like, he still has some like, yeah, he's got this like arrogance to him, but he's also like fun loving and like kind of nerdy in a way.
You get the impression like he's playing it up. He's playing his narcissism and badassery up because he's just kind of
like Eggman. When Eggman's talking about like, oh, he's faster than Sonic and he's stronger than Sonic, and Shadow's just standing there like nonchalantly with his arms crossed. But as soon as Eggman calls him cool, he starts blushing.
Yeah.
It's such a weird, like, the last one was very weird, but like this one I can't get over how strange these characters act in these. But like, yeah. I kind of like it. Also, it's worth noting that Shadow is actually running in the first 2 pages and not skating. So that's weird.
Yeah, we don't see the flames coming out of his boots or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, he's not making...
I guess they were malfunctioning that day.
Yeah.
Maybe the manga doesn't know too much about the actual games. But then again, he's supposed to be the ultimate life form, so you should be able to do it.
I do like seeing Shadow smiling. It's wholesome.
Yeah. It's pretty rare for seeing Shadow just like have a genuine smile, because I know like the Archie Sonic, they weren't afraid to like show Shadow like kind of a more like casual smile, like yeah, this feels like a good day kind of thing. But yeah,
it is kind of interesting about the manga how Shadow is technically flanderized, but in 3 different directions at the same time, and because he's extreme in 3 different directions at the same time, it kind of makes him nuanced as a result. Like, he's simultaneously the annoying, narcissistic, I'm better than you and I'm going to fight and I'm the fastest, and kind of that parody version. But on the other hand, he's also the cheerful, happy, like, oh, I'm best friends with everyone and I'm just a sexy, cool friend of Sonic. He's playing that part. and then he's also like playing tricks and like manipulating. It's like you have all three of all components of Shadow, all extreme, like cartoon versions of them, but playing at the same time, and he kind of flips back and forth between all the extreme personalities, and that weirdly makes him very nuanced in this one. It's a really weird effect, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, some would say, like, oh, Shadow's completely out of character in this story. But at least the way he's written is just, I find, hilarious. As opposed to, like, Team Sonic Racing and the IDW Sonic comics, where the way he's written out of character is just so frustrating that it pisses me off. He's just constantly like, oh, cowards run, I win, I don't need friends,
Yeah, the difference is those feel more mean-spirited. Like, it's really like a parody of someone who hates Shadow. Well,
Yeah.
here it's. I mean, that was what I was worried about at first because he starts very mean spirited. He's like, "Oh, I'm better than you. I'm much cooler. I'm narcissistic." But again, when his more playful side comes up, it becomes much more like wholesome, like the captain says. So it's an interesting take, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely better than IDW Shadow, I can tell you that.
And not much of a high bar to to overpass, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. If
Well,
this is
after
how
this-
Shadow acted nowadays, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
At least there's more likability and charming and virtues here. He's not just an asshole.
Yeah, one thing I always found weird is one of the panels where like Shadow's doing is they're like, all right, let's, here's another test. Let's hold this position as far long as you can. And they're in this like squat kind of sumo position thing. And the weird thing about it is that they don't have shoes for some reason. They're drawn with bare feet for some reason.
Without the toes again. Poor, sorry,
I,
foot
uh,
fetishes.
Stupid blob feet design, yeah, but yeah. I don't know, it's weird. It only happens that one time, and then that's when Robotnik's like, oh, come on, Shadow, you're supposed to be cool and awesome. I'll fight you guys, going into a Scrappy-Doo mode.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just part to make the parody and the reference complete. Because, like you said, they're acting like sumos. I mean, I guess they should have had those sumo diapers on as well to complete the picture.
Yeah,
guess that was too
loincloth,
much.
whatever they're called, yeah.
I mean, taking off the shoes is okay, but Sonic wearing pants, even if it's stupid diaper-looking pants, like, nope, that's a no-no from Sega, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, that doesn't excuse Archie Sonic getting away with Sonic wearing pants in some cases, like when he dressed up as a ninja one time.
How dare he? Male characters in Sonic are not allowed to wear pants, and female characters aren't allowed not to wear pants.
Unless you're Archie Sonic.
Or Robotnik. He should be wearing his pants at all times. Although we don't
For
know, maybe
everyone's
the black...
safety.
Maybe the blackness isn't his pants, but is actually his legs. Who knows?
Yeah.
There is actually an interesting thing to point out about Eggman's pants is that like they're black and skin tight, but if you look in like some more modern games, you can see under the collar of his jacket is something black and skin tight, implying that he's just got like a one piece like coverall, like feety pajamas under his jacket.
Full body suit, huh?
But they don't cover his arms apparently, so so it's sleeveless footy pajamas.
Maybe it's just an extended ice vest because
maybe he just has grandpa pants. He just has to pull up very high up.
No, that's Boom Robotnik.
Probably, yeah.
I also like on the last page, in the last panel, like it just straight up says that Sonic and Shadow became friends.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, they were working together already, but yeah, it's kind of fun.
Amy thinks he's cool.
All blushing. So, like I said, Shad Amy. Sonic gets competition now that he cares.
Yeah. I guess that's more of a reference to that one Shad Amy joke he did in what was it, Sonic Adventure 2 in minutes.
Oh yeah, where the fans would come.
Yeah,
jump up.
yay, yay, yay.
Yep, wacky jokes. Right, I guess we're done with the main things to talk about this this stream. Yeah. Well, so we finally had the poll. I should have started way earlier. Completely forgot about the name of our what our stream is going to be called. And of course, the silly, like I said before, the silly name I inserted is a joke one. And that's I'm only going to keep those in the thumbnails, and then we just use Dissected Alive as the actual name we're going to refer to.
Dissected Alive.
Dissected Alive. Nice working pun.
Yeah, and then we'll be prepared for our next Halloween stream. Dissected Alive, Undead, and then Alive again.
That sounds like a good idea, yeah. Pointless back and forth. But, yeah, I guess that's all we have to say for today. Anyone else wants something to say? Any videos you're making you want to plug? But, man,
I guess I'll put my shameless plug in. So,
plug, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So, right. So recently I'm finally getting back to working on Forgotten Media again. So the episode that I'm currently working on is on, the title I have for it is called The Crazy and Bizarre Sequel to Disney's Alice in Wonderland. Because, yes, there actually was a sequel to Disney's animated Alice in Wonderland. That was in the form of comics made by Slave Labor Graphics, which, of course, they're no stranger to me. I already talked about their Disney Haunted Mansion comics a while back. So I'm currently working on that. I recently got done recording all the lines, so all I gotta do is
Altijd last
put all
van
the
pijn en
backgrounds and
bent
the
u deze
illustrations in
lichamelijke
there on the
klachten
pages
helemaal
that I had
zat?
scanned to show it off. Like, oh yeah, here's the crazy stuff where we see like, yeah. So the comics basically just focus on like Marianne and the White Rabbit being chased by the Queen of Hearts as she accuses them of bringing Alice to Wonderland and causing trouble in the courtroom. And as you'd expect, lots of wacky stuff happens in the Wonderland. They encounter other kings and queens that reside there. And yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I was going to try and do this for Disney's Alice's 70th anniversary, but I never got around to it. So like, well, okay, this video will just be its unbirthday anniversary. Or
Sounds fitting.
unanniversary. Yeah.
On birthday indeed.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
was I
forgot
thinking
me.
Wizard of Oz for some reason? For some reason, I keep confusing those two. I'm weird. Captain, you have anything to plug?
Just my Nintendo Direct reaction video. It's not much, but I did put like an hour's worth of editing into it.
Oh, wow.
And there's like a little secret joke at the end.
I don't
So-
remember. Well, okay, we have to keep it a secret anyway for our viewers. Surprise.
There we go.
But yeah, the links to Melting Man and the Captain's personal YouTube channels are in the comments below. So, not the comments, the description. Man, I'm really off today. I'm not in good shape.
It's all that robophilia, I tell you.
all that Chris and Sonic romance. It's my brain is flipped upside down. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure Luke is gonna make a video about his thoughts on these Sonic X episodes later. I mean, that's what he did last time. I'm not sure if he's gonna do that again.
Yeah. And maybe also his reaction on the Shadow manga, because I know he really enjoyed the last Dash and Spin story we talked about last time.
Sure, yeah. So we'll see what he's gonna do. Meanwhile, I'm working on a. I don't want to know what to call it. Not really a dissected video, but one where I kind of talk about Sonic Robo Blast 2, the levels I'm making. A bit of a small discussion video about level design. So that's coming out tomorrow, I hope. I'm nearly done editing, so that's coming soon. That's my plug, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, what's the next live stream going to be about? I guess we just continue Sonic X, or shall we take a break now the season is over? Secretly, I really want to start on Sonic Archie, even though that's a huge.
Yeah, Archie Sonic's a little bit too ambitious. Like, we could start on the Sonic X comics. That's a little more simpler, as that's only like 40 issues.
I suppose so. And those comics are only based on the first season, aren't they?
There's
No.
I think it's mostly the first and second season, because we did cover the Christmas theme one that had Vanilla, and she didn't show up until much later.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's about time we go back to the comics. Although I don't think IDW got enough new issues for us to go back there.
Yeah, not yet anyway. I imagine like after issue 50, then we'll probably have enough material to work with, because yeah, the whole story arc going on with the new character, and as well as the new imposter characters, and they're definitely really building it up. Like, oh, something big's gonna happen in issue 50, so we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out.
Fair enough. So yeah, probably next live stream we just talk more about Sonic X the episode. Or I don't know.
Maybe
I need some time to think about it.
Yeah, maybe a combination of the episodes and the comics, but that's just my idea.
Sure, could be. But I need to get some other stuff done first. Man, it's February and still haven't finished a new animation this entire year. I'm in terrible shape. I'm sorry, people.
Yeah. Well, then again, February is like the shortest month of the year, so I don't think people will hate you that much.
I guess so. We'll see. But yeah, you guys, thanks for joining me again, and we'll see you in 2 weeks again. Hopefully with Luke among us again.
And as Luke would say, cheerio!
Yeah, goodbye.